Wow, Rishi, people have come back.
They love us. What can I say?
But that's good, dude. The second episode we do, it's not at 0. That means people enjoyed it the first time.
Yeah, or this is a whole batch of new people who have no idea what's happening.
They're probably just sitting there and they're like, why did I do this? What's going on again? Who's Rishi?
No, they're going to be like, this is going to be the best time of their lives. I made sure they know that.
You know, I think we should actually like get a camera and do like yearbook photos for everyone that attended this thing.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah. So as people pile in, we want to thank everyone for coming on today and doing this for B2B Tonight. This is our second episode. So we've got some cobwebs that we've ironed out, some little things. We're only going to get better at this as we keep going. Rishi's hair is only going to get longer.
Ryan, is my hair okay?
Dude, I was thinking the same thing. No, it's not okay.
It's the best I could do. I don't understand. Why wouldn't it stick down?
You gotta put some gel. You gotta use a hair dryer. Maybe you have someone blow in your face
What
while
if
you're
I just
doing
did
it.
this for the whole time?
I think it's gonna not look. It's gonna get worse. It's not good. The thing that would be interesting for me is like if my hair just grows longer and gets worse as I do these things.
Yeah, but you'll look like a Hanson.
I had someone message me last night and said that their daughter saw the mom was watching our first episode and they thought that she was watching a Zoom with Zac Efron on it. And I'm like, no, I'm like way more overweight than Zac Efron.
You are, but
someone on LinkedIn once called me an overweight Tom Cruise. So I won't forget that. Oh, someone's on here is Ryan's mom.
Ryan's mom. Oh, Ryan's mom is so true though.
So I think we're good to get rolling, I guess. We can start it and we'll go from there. Does that sound good? Yeah,
actually, before we start, we should share some troubling news though, shouldn't we?
I suppose so. So some sad things have happened over the past week that people might not be aware about. LeadIQ is obviously helping us put the show on, and we've been promoting the hell out of it. We're telling people we had Daniel Disney as our guest this week. And something really surprising happened. I got an email on Monday from someone from Disney. And a lawyer from Disney basically shot me an email saying, you can't use the Disney name when you're promoting B2B Tonight. And they had a huge problem with it. We had it all over our marketing materials like social media, email. We'd shout it out in videos. We tagged Daniel Disney and they had a huge problem with it.
Yeah, it was really terrible because we really blasted this out. And then I don't know if you know this, Ryan, but I got an email. I think we both got an email where the lawyer of Disney demands to speak with us, like right now.
Like during our show? Are they trying to sabotage us or something?
I don't know, but he said, you cannot do anything until I speak with you guys, 2 p.m. Thursday, Eastern Standard Time. And I said, we have a webinar. He goes, I don't care. And so I don't know what to do. I guess we have to bring him on.
Are attendees cool with that? Would everyone mind if we talked with the Disney lawyer for a couple minutes for a second and see what they think?
I mean, do we have a choice?
Oh, well, there he is right now.
And he just bombards it. Hello, sir.
The name's Mel Garwood, all right? Mel Garwood here. And quite frankly, I am displeased and disgusted with your infringement and disrespect of my client's intellectual property in the Disney name.
You realize, though, that like our guest tonight, he was born with the name Daniel Disney. It's his last name. We're not infringing.
That doesn't matter. Every time you use the word Disney on any marketing materials, emails, social media, and promos, it adds another 0 to the lawsuit.
But it doesn't make any sense. What are we infringing on? His last name is literally Disney. You don't own.
And Ronald's last name is really McDonald, and he had a farm. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You know, when you use the name Disney, you crush the dreams of tens of children everywhere. And for what? The sake of some silly talk show and some marketing materials? I mean, we built a media empire on beloved intellectual property. And you know what? I'm going to show you some of it right here.
Did you say tens of kids?
Tens everywhere.
This is, so.
You know, like, you know what? Kids everywhere love Mickey Rat. Here he is, born in 1929 in a little steamboat for children everywhere, infecting the hearts of all these beloved children. Of course, you can't forget about his best friend in the whole entire world.
It was Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, Mickey Rat, his best friend Donald Goose here. Look at how beautiful this Goose is. He's another beloved character of my good friend and partner Walter Disney. He hand drew this himself. You know, you can never forget about the great Doofy as well. He's beautiful. Look at him. He's so handsome and hilarious. And of course, everybody's favorite pet, Pluto. I mean, you know, we can't forget about these characters and and how beloved all these children everywhere.
That was a planet.
You didn't even hold on a second. It says Walter Disney at the bottom of those slides. You didn't even rip off the dog. You just put a planet there.
You know what? Whatever. You'll be hearing from my lawyers, and I'll see you in court, turkeys.
What just
Rishi,
happened?
I don't know what to do. I think we're in the clear because I think I saw some infringement there that had nothing to do with us. Why don't we get to our guest today? Let's get into it. So I'm a little shocked.
By the way, I should apologize to the audience for going through that. I'm sorry about that, guys.
We thought it was going to be serious business. We did not realize that was going to happen. Apologies.
And also, I do not look like Quasimodo.
Someone said that? Someone said you look like Quasimodo?
Speaking of Disney, he looks like Quasimodo in a suit. And
yeah. They're not wrong. All right, so let's jump into it a little bit. We've got some great people here. I want to say hi to the people that are attending, by the way. Let's introduce our next guest, our only guest, I guess, that was planned. Let's introduce Daniel Disney. For some people that don't know about Daniel Disney, he is out in the UK. He's written a great book on social selling that is one of the top sales books that people buy. He has great posts online. He's a trainer. Everyone knows him. Everyone say hi. Daniel Disney, what's up?
Hey guys, I am pumped to be here, and that was one of the funniest things I think I've seen. I'm shocked that the lawyers were trying to pounce on you guys.
Yeah, and it's also not funny because it scared us. We were terrified. For the entire week, we've been terrified.
I feel so relieved now that we know what really happened, and we cleared that up. So what's up with you? How you dealing with the pandemic and stuff? You been okay, Daniel?
Yeah, no, doing okay. Obviously trying to keep safe and you know, make sure friends and family are okay. Trying to adapt as we all are. It's a crazy time, and you know, sympathies go out to everyone who's been, you know, negatively impacted by it. But it's interesting seeing everyone go digital. Everyone's now working from home. They're having to, you know, Zoom call, and there's certainly a lot more presence on social. So it's been quite fascinating seeing how everything's sort of adapting and changing.
So we were actually thinking through the schedule of what we wanted to do for content, and my whole content calendar has basically been shaken up because a lot of people work at companies that sell into spaces you sort of can't prospecting to right now. So if you're not going to spend your time prospecting and you're still at that company, it's a great time to actually do brand building with social. And I thought it'd be cool to talk about a couple things today. We're going to dive into some tactical stuff with social. We're going to talk about, as an individual and as a manager, how you can enable your team to live off LinkedIn when you're prospecting. And lastly, we'll probably do some cool stuff with like how to do InMail and send messages and comment if you see something. So we'll tackle some of those things, but mostly we can answer questions for you. So there's a little Q&A down at the bottom of the Zoom. You can submit questions or you can ask in chat. Rishi and I are going to man and eyeball it once in a while. Daniel's here. He's game to take on questions. You can ask a silly question, serious question, whatever you want to do. Don't be shy. If you want us to not say your name, just tell us or ask anonymously. Let's jump in with a quick question. Daniel, let's start with, as a sales rep or someone that's working selling, how do you set up a good LinkedIn profile for yourself? What should you put in it? Like, what's the frame of mind that you should be doing?
Do you know what? There's three things that I recommend to sales reps. Simple things. Number one is get a good photo. Obviously, at the moment, you can't go and get a professional photographer to do one. You can't hire one in, but try and find a plain wall and get someone, or, you know, put your phone up on a timer and just a nice plain background, shoulders and above, looking at the camera. Just get a nice, simple, professional photo. Number two is your background. So we all have this little background space behind our photo. Create something that's like a mini billboard. I use something called canva.com. It's free to use. It's got all the templates. You just drag and drop and, you know, add a few words, but it just starts to bring the profile to life. And then the third thing that's really important is your summary. I think a lot of sales reps will just have a single paragraph like the About Me section of your CV, and you've got a ton of space there. Just write about how you help people. Focus it on the customer, not on you. It's not about how great you are at selling. It's about how you help people, what you help them achieve, how you've helped people already, and how they can get in touch with you. Focus it on them. Those three things will instantly transform your sales reps' profiles and bring them to life and a lot more customer focused.
So what's an example of a good summary that you've seen personally?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, check out my profile for the general structure, but it's just got to start off. This is what we do. This is what we offer. This is who we help. So they'll start to describe the type of people they work with. So maybe we help VPs of marketing, marketing directors, marketing managers. We help them achieve X, Y, and Z. We do this with our product or service, which is this. Here are some similar companies that we've worked with, maybe a couple of bullet points. Here's a few examples of ROIs that we've achieved. And then at the end, if you want to see if we might be able to help you achieve something similar, please get in touch. And here's several contact methods, whether it's LinkedIn message, email, phone number, etc. Here's a link to our website and so on. Suddenly, you've got a nice, expansive summary that explains, and it's almost like a qualifying process. People are reading it through and ticking themselves in or out, which is what you want. Hopefully by the end of it, the people that are more likely to be your customers are the ones that are going to get in touch.
And Jenny asked, what was the background you used?
The background for the background image.
Mm-hmm.
So I created one on Canva for years, which just had some keywords, something like helping salespeople sell more with social. For me, obviously, I was the product, so I had another picture of me. But if you're
I'll show a screenshot for you guys too, so people can see. So this is how Daniel sets up his profile up here. He's got
So this is a new one. I've actually had this. I paid for this to be done. This is the first time I paid for it. There's a few companies now that are outsourcing it where they'll create a professional banner for you. So this then just takes it a step further, a lot more digital and a lot more creative. But it's the same principle. Picture of me and highlights what I do. Short and simple, nothing complicated. You just want that first impression of good picture, background. Okay, I know what that person does. I'm going to read on.
And then your personality, obviously.
I'll connect this a little bit to prospecting too on my end. That's kind of what the filter I'm going to look at this for. If you're an SDR, AE, or you're a manager trying to get your reps to use LinkedIn more, I think it's a good idea not to use canned LinkedIn about me sections. Like the thing that makes reps really unique, you're reaching out to extraordinary people. That means that you need to seem extraordinary. If I go out, let's say I was writing a cold email to Mark Zuckerberg, for example. If I just have a boilerplate LinkedIn copy and paste thing about the company I work at or something, and for some reason he looked at our LinkedIn, he probably wouldn't because I think he looks at LinkedIn as a competitor, but he's going to look at my profile. I don't want it to look boring and different. You want to be unique and crank it up a little bit. Figure out a way to almost have it be like your own brand on stuff. You can talk about your company and how you help people, but like it doesn't have to, remember, you're not your company and the person you're prospecting, they're not their company either. We're individuals. Especially, and I'm sure people have heard this so many times, we've seen data that shows that the average person is changing jobs once every 18 months. So like, think of that. Like the loyalty on companies is kind of gone.
By the way, Ryan, your mom asked, how do I know when it's too many messages to send a prospect on LinkedIn? And what is the spam limit / over under?
Do you want to tackle that one, Daniel?
Yeah. No, for Ryan's mum, happy to answer that one.
Thank you for being polite to her, by the way.
That's okay, Mrs. O'Hara. Nice to see you. There's no number to put by it. I mean, we all know the sort of spam limits. I think if you're messaging more than 3 or 4 times without a reply, you need to start looking at other modes, whether it's a phone call, voicemail, email, maybe try a video message or an audio message. But when you're starting to not get a reply and you're just sending similar style messages, you're starting to sort of hit the limit. Going back to Ryan, your point about those sort of template summaries that some companies send out, where they'll send out an email to everyone and say, right, here is exactly what you need to put in all the sections. You're right. There's no originality into it. And people buy from people. So let your salespeople become human beings, become themselves and express themselves uniquely, but provide guidelines. Guidelines are good.
Can I ask you guys both a question? How do you guys figure out what your personality is and your voice online? Because that's a very tough thing to do, because how do you know what it is? How do you know what you want to sound like?
You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll chuck in 2 things quickly. I'd be interested to hear your views as well, Ryan. But sort of the things I tend to advise, you'll find your voice the more you're active on social. So when I first started using social, I didn't have a voice. I didn't know what my voice was. I found it over the sort of following weeks and months of using it. You sort of find it by sharing content, engaging in content. So part of it is going to come through just using social more. But there are activities you can do to sort of brainstorm it, look at what you like, what the content that you consume is like, what your tone is like. Are you positive? Are you challenging? Are you humorous? You can brainstorm a lot of that information and then just start to, feed off of that.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. The way I look at it, you want to be a peacock a little bit. You don't want to be arrogant, but you want to be a peacock where you stand out and make someone stop and say, whoa, what's going on there? One thing that I see that works very well, and some of you might have heard me talk about this before, we actually do a thing at LeadIQ called brand archetyping. And the idea is that there's 12 archetypes that you can pick, and it's how you want to build your brand up to be a certain way. For example, if I'm a hero brand, I'm going to frame myself to be I'm going to be the person that's up for a challenge. I'll talk about challenges that I've overcome. If I'm a rebel brand, I'm going to talk about how I'm trying to rewrite the rule book, throw things out and do it again. If I'm a gesture brand, I'm going to do a dumb B2B late night talk show with Rishi. Like that's actually like literally what we're trying to do is be a gesture brand and make you laugh and have a good time and entertain you while still giving you information and stuff. The biggest tip that I'd give for personality, don't do what everyone else is doing. So if you go to your space and you see that like I'll give you an example. In my space where we do a lot of stuff with like helping people with prospecting, there's a ton of companies that are out there that are sage brands. They're the smartest person in the room. They share insight and data. We're going to share insight and data with you, but we're going to try and make you laugh while we give you that data. So like that's a perspective of how you can do it. The goal for someone that's building a brand online, you should pick one archetype and commit to it. And my favorite example of this, if you haven't heard this talk before, is Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is what I call a lover brand. As a 32-year-old man whose mom apparently attends his own talk show, I love Taylor Swift. And one of the things that Taylor Swift does that's so effective, and one of the reasons she's been able to change genres and have people follow her, she's a lover brand. She's all about loving her fans, loving her listeners. She talks about love in her life. She talks about her love life. She talks about all those things. She's intimate. She tells you stuff. And I wish I had a second person here who could just throw water at my face and splash me to get me to stop talking about Taylor Swift.
I'm waiting for you to start to jump into a song there, Ryan.
Yeah,
I literally thought you were going to break out singing and then maybe say something about Kim Kardashian. I don't know.
Hey, we don't talk. That's a sensitive issue, and you know that. But my point is, people really like Taylor Swift because she does this lover brand. An example, if you're a company that's a lover brand or a person, maybe you send Valentine's Day cards to your prospects in the mail and say, hey, if you like this, snap a photo, put it online and tag me. You can do something like that. Maybe if you're a lover brand and you love a customer, maybe you write a love letter to a customer and just post it online and tag that customer that you want. There's a lot of really cool things that you can do to show and establish that brand that you want to be. A company that does the lover brand really well that I like bringing up is SalesLoft. A lot of the stuff they do is about loving sales. They talk about loving their employees. I'll constantly see that, like I saw a post once from Forrester. The SDR manager there posted a video of, or posted an image of the SalesLoft team surprising them with gifts. And then they did sales training with them for 30 minutes over a lunch hour once. That's like a really nice thing to do. And it's an easy little tactical thing you can do over LinkedIn that makes you stand out a little bit more as opposed to like the stock, like, hello, blah, blah, let me talk about my service or whatever I'm trying to sell you. Daniel, do you find someone that's online, you probably see a lot of people that go on there and like sell right away. Doesn't that drive you nuts? Like what's the right approach to do that when you're on LinkedIn?
I literally posted about it today, that sort of, I'm going to connect with someone and then within 5 minutes, I'm going to spam them with a sales pitch message. And, it happens to all of us. It happens to me. It happens to decision makers that I speak to. And it's kind of crazy. I call it sales autopilot. It's this bizarre place that salespeople often go to. You see it when you say, sell me this pen. And they'll just start, vomiting out features and benefits of this imaginary pen. And, we know that's not the way to sell, but it's that sort of autopilot. I need to sell something. This is what I think I need to do. My sort of message around my post today was really about playing it cool. Take a step back. Let's stop trying to throw as much stuff at the wall and see what sticks. Let's stop spraying and praying and see what comes back. Let's start to be a lot more professional with our sales approach and, make sure we're qualifying our prospects up front, make sure we're actually working on people we genuinely believe that we can help. And then let's just be smart in our usage of communication. So like I said, if you send a message or two messages and you're not getting a reply, change tact. Don't keep banging that same drum over and over because you're only going to push them further and further away. Pick up the phone and try and call them. Jump on a camera and record a quick 30-second video and send a video to them. Try audio. People have different preferences. Some people will prefer it if you send them a video and they're more likely to reply if you send them a video. So I think it's adapting that multi-cadence approach instead of just trying to do the same thing over and over.
Daniel. The question is, how do you feel about cold in-mails as prospecting tools?
in-mails have one of the lowest conversion rates, I think, from a prospecting method, maybe even lower than cold calls. They're not great. Obviously, there is a percentage that does convert, so you can't ignore them. But my sort of recommendation to salespeople where possible is try and connect first. If you can, do a bit of engagement first and then message directly, you'll get a far better response. But sometimes that's physically not possible. And so attempting an in-mail is certainly worth a shot, but conversions are pretty low.
So I'll tell you something that I think about with this. When we think about where everyone works and how everything is with prospecting and social selling, a lot of it's about getting familiar with your prospect and getting your prospect familiar with your name. If you do social selling and you put your name out there regularly, you're going to see a bump in response rates on your emails. You're going to see a bump in your call rates when you get responses back from people when you leave voicemails. What I would recommend...
I'll give you a quick example about this. This is kind of what spurred me on this sort of social selling journey. I mean, this was 6-7 years ago when I just started sort of playing around with LinkedIn, and I started to share content. And I saw this transition in first conversations with prospects where normally I would spend the first 5, 10, 15 minutes explaining who I was, what I did, where I worked, etc. And I started to find conversations, whether it was on the phone or even face to face. And the first thing they'd say to me is, Dan, I loved that post you shared last week. We've been following your post for the last few weeks. And that is a huge step forward for a salesperson to kind of be more at their level. So you're not sort of looking up to them as the prospect you're trying to sell to. You're suddenly equals, but you're able to then jump into a more constructive, positive conversation instead of spending X amount of time trying to convince them that they can trust you. That trust is already started to be earned. So yeah, you're right. A digital presence can have an impact on all areas of sales.
Think of it from this perspective. If you're someone, I get prospected a ton because I'm a VP of marketing, and if I see someone message me and it's a name that I've seen over and over again on social, I'm way more likely to open the badge when it comes up on my phone. If it's an in-mail on LinkedIn, I'm way more likely to actually look at the in-mail, even if I'm not connected with them. If they've liked or commented or engaged on posts that I've done before, there are people that I feel like I know that I've never met before, who regularly talk and say nice things about the programs that we're doing or marketing or movies or videos that we're putting on social, all that stuff. Like it increases familiarity just doing likes and comments. In the words of Daniel, be chill. Just sit back, hang out if they added you, start commenting and engaging on the posts that they have regularly. If you find, this is a cool transition actually for this. When someone is connected, I actually think it's a better idea to use, I like using LinkedIn as my second touch. So like I might add someone on LinkedIn, but do my first touch off of LinkedIn with email or phone and bring up something that I noticed that was on LinkedIn that was interesting about them. Like, why am I picking them? Why are they special to me? You can find a quick trigger really quick by looking at a profile. Daniel, do you ever look at that stuff? Like when you're figuring out who you're going to message, you probably read someone's profile pretty well, right?
You have to. It's just doing your homework. It's making an effort, which unfortunately a chunk of salespeople don't do, and there's reasons, for that, bad management, etc. But it's a little effort that can have a huge impact. Spending 10 to 30 seconds quickly scrolling through someone's profile, scrolling through their activity feed, you can find gold nuggets of information that you can say, oh, Ryan, loved that post you shared last week, or loved that B2B Tonight show that you guys did the other night. That was brilliant. Tuned in. And suddenly, I've made an effort, I'm complimenting you, flattery, you're going to feel good about it. There's all these positive feelings coming in instead of a salesperson jumping in where they know nothing about you. They've done no homework. There's a big difference, but you're
right. I do feel good about it. Thank you. Rishi's going to print a screenshot of this and then put it on his mom's fridge. Next to his crappy
you could go a step further, Ryan, and be like, Ryan, you look like Zac Efron. And suddenly that's it. You've got your foot in the door and away you go.
Why are all the compliments going to this guy? I'm sitting right here. Would love some sent my way.
Hey, if you guys want to compliment Rishi in chat, you can say he's doing great. He tied his own tie. That's a big deal.
It's very tough. Having said that, an anonymous attendee asks, for in-mails, is there any data around success of using messages to drive people back to your initial email?
Sorry, in-mail, messages, and email.
Like you use your in-mail basically to tell someone to go look at the email you sent them, or phone that you sent, voicemail, whatever other tactic you did. Do you have any data around that at all or anything?
I haven't seen any data around it. I'll do some digging to see if I can find some, and if I can, I'll share it to the audience. But nothing that I've seen. Again, in-mails come through cold, and there's a psychological impact of seeing an in-mail come in. You know when it's come in, someone's paid to send it to you. It's like seeing sponsored ad when you see a post shared on social media. You know someone's paying to share it, which means they generally want something back. So there's a bit of a psychology behind initial reactions to that. Again, I would always recommend going down message. You know, if you've connected with someone, you've tried to call them, sending a message where you're connected and just saying, John, tried to call you today, understand you're in a meeting. That tends to work quite well. And again, don't forget to explore. You've got 3 types of message you can send: written, video, and audio.
The scary part too is if you send that. So I had personal experience doing this because I did this when I was prospecting at Dine. I did it when I first started prospecting at LeadIQ. I noticed that with InMail, it's almost like you're writing a cold email to someone and your subject says cold email. That's, I think, what the comparison is a little bit. What I would do instead is try and send an InMail to someone. Don't send a calendar. Don't ask for a meeting with InMail. Ask them to go do something else. You can ask them to go look at the email. You could ask them to add, be like, hey, I'm going to send you a connection request. Reason I want to connect with you, I was poking around your profile and I saw you know a lot of mutual people that, like, don't generic it, actually be specific. That's another thing that a lot of people do on LinkedIn right now that drives me nuts. They do fake personalization where they're like, we have a lot of mutual connections. You know how badly I just want to write back and be like, oh, really? Who? Or accept their LinkedIn connection request, find their number, call them and be like, hey, you said we had mutual connections. Who were you thinking of? Instead, you'll get a way higher conversion rate if you actually name drop a specific person. I'll give you a perfect example of this. One of the friends of LeadIQ, we've done a lot of stuff with him, Josh Braun, has a program that he does for prospecting training. Everyone should check it out. He's great, by the way. And Josh literally will tell people to go add me when he's doing his lessons on how to add someone on LinkedIn. He uses me as a dummy for it. But what I love is that the messages that I get from all the people that are part of his program will say, Josh told us to add you from the B2B marketing guide. Maybe it's okay to just spell out how you found that prospect on LinkedIn. That's not a bad first message. Like, I found you in a search. I saw another one that comes up for me is a lot of people say like, hey, I saw your recommended recommendation because I'm connected with Dave Gearhart from, he used to work at Drift, now he's at Privy. I see that, I'm like, oh, cool, I know how they found me. They found me from that. If you're targeting marketers, they care where you're coming from on that end. If you're targeting IT or network engineers and stuff, some of the stuff you might mention would be like, hey, I saw you work, you're building this. Talk about the thing they're building. They love that stuff. Like I used to go after like these network engineers and solution architects and all these people building these crazy network stuff and stuff. And I used to just be like, holy crap, you've literally been working on something that gets millions of people using it every day. That must feel pretty cool. And it works. Like, they'll talk about it and be really passionate about it. I think it's a really cool idea.
It's such a little effort that has a huge impact. I think a lot of salespeople overcomplicate it, or they think, oh, I need to spend hours looking at someone's profile. You're literally talking about seconds to find and consume that information and then just, use it in a very clever way. It's a little effort that goes a long way.
By the way, very well put, very eloquent, very articulate. You're very charming.
Oh, who? Daniel?
Oh,
or me?
Daniel over here. I want my compliment.
Who? Me?
Thank you, Rishi. Thank you.
Dude, what an ego I have. Daniel, what about, one thing I wanted to ask you is, do you feel like a lot of people on social are doing stuff that's like maybe a little too selfish? Like, is that kind of a good guideline? Like, hey, be less selfish when you're doing stuff?
Oh, 100%. I use the sort of famous sales 80-20 split, but I use it in social to say 80% of what you do on social should be giving, then earning the opportunity for 20% to maybe ask for something back. But most salespeople and businesses are just as guilty about it. And Ryan, I'm sure you see this, marketing departments sometimes fall in this trap, certainly in smaller businesses, where 80% of what they chuck out there is just advertisement stuff. It's very take stuff, not giving value. And it's the companies that then push out more value-giving content that's entertaining, thought insights, etc., knowledge-based, that generate greater audiences, greater engagement rates. So yeah, 100% try and give more, whether that's the content you share, whether it's what you're messaging, everything you do on social, try and give value. It's a nice thing to do, but it's amazing how much more you generate from it. The challenge, I guess, that a lot of sales teams find, and certainly a lot of sales leaders find, is giving isn't a metric. It's not the same as picking up the phone and making 100 cold calls. It can take time, and that's where it gets a little bit complicated, but it works. It's just about building it into the strategy.
So a couple things, so I just want to add a couple things really quick, Rishi, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Couple things I want to add to that too. Every person here, even if you're not a thought leader and you don't know a lot about your space, maybe you sell to a space and you can't even speak the language that the people you're selling to speak with, like tech or developers or finance or something. Take customer stories, anonymize them, and share them. That's a really easy thing to do. The best way to frame a story, set up a conflict, aka a problem, present a solution, add a little fairy dust of like your cool like personality stuff into it, and tell that story. You have people you're cold calling and talking to all the time that have cool experiences that you can bring up right in a message or on a LinkedIn post. You don't have to necessarily be generic and just be like, I don't have any insight. I'm just a rep that lives in my mom's basement. I'm writing 50 cold emails a day. Like, you have some insight. Share stories when you eavesdrop on things that happen on the call. Share experiences that you have. It's not your experience. You're just the connector to that world because you're talking with those thought leaders and other buyers and decision makers that are similar in your space all the time. Make a little journal. Make a little note of cool things that you come up with. I remember when I was at Dine, for example. I can't remember what the customer was called, but do you guys remember when like New York got hit? Was it Sandy or Irene? Like one of those hurricanes that was really bad, Rishi? Yeah, Sandy did a ton of damage to New York, including flooding. There was a story that we heard about, I can't remember what company it was because it was so long ago now. The company was literally, all the IT and network guys were going upstairs in the building and they were moving all the server equipment upstairs and they were draining the room they had sub pumps and buckets because their server room was just filling up with water and their website couldn't go down. And they were so afraid of their website going down that they had to like drain buckets and drain water. That was a great LinkedIn post for me. I told that story. I'm like, this is what it's about. This is why we're here. Like, this is why we're helping people. This is some cool stuff that you want to make sure you have ready in case this stuff happens, because it will. And that's a neat narrative story that has a conflict, a solution, what they actually did, what are they doing moving forward so it doesn't happen again. You can tell those stories whenever you're doing these posts.
And everyone has those stories. I get a lot of sales reps and SDRs that are new in a role. Maybe they're a few months in, a year in, and they're worried that, I don't have the knowledge or experience to share. I can't be an expert on LinkedIn. And you don't need to. People don't want to be preached. They, as you say, Ryan, they just want stories, and everyone has them. Even if you're a month into your sales role, you would have had stories from your journey to getting the job, your training experience, your first few conversations. People love those stories. You don't have to drop your customers or your prospects, but you can still share the stories of what happened, the challenges. As you say, perfectly put, that's what people want to see. They want to be entertained. They want to see how you overcame challenges. They want to hear what's happening in your world. People buy from people, so share your stories and show them you as a human being.
Yeah, what was the question you were going to ask, Christy, before I rudely cut you off?
No, you both answered it. Like Daniel just answered it with the second statement, so it's been answered. Thank you so much.
Good. Get out of here, dude. Get out. So one of the things that we could actually transition to is we're getting close to like time on this stuff. Let's talk a little bit about, let's pretend that you see a customer or a prospect you're trying to break into, and they put a post up that's basically something that's like the perfect opportunity for you to pitch them. Like, I need help finding blah, 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 blah. What do you do, Daniel? Talk about it. Like, what's the best case scenario? What should you do in that situation?
I love this scenario. It's something I teach in every session, and I'm going to share with you a story of a company that did it 50% right. So I went and delivered some training. I think it was about a year and a half ago. And ironically enough, a week before I was due to deliver training, someone in my network posted a post like that saying, I'm looking for this. And they were looking for the products that this company sold. So I tagged in the director who was my contact, who had booked me to train, and did the whole, I'd recommend this company. They're great, blah, blah, blah. So the week goes by. I then drive up, get ready to deliver training. We're just having a coffee before we get started. And I mentioned to the director, I said, did you notice I tagged you in that post? That was a really hot lead. Looked like a great company. I'm hoping that worked out well for you guys. And the director put their hands up and said, oh no, I haven't really been on LinkedIn. I didn't see it. Obviously instant problem there. But one of the reps put their hand up and said, oh, I saw that you did that. So I've connected with the prospect. I sent them a message. I engaged in the post. And I was like, wow, that's brilliant. We haven't even done the training yet. That's a very proactive social approach to do. So I said, okay, it's been a week. What happened next? And they said, oh, I'm just waiting for them to reply.
Oh no.
And I went, oh no, what you mean waiting for them to reply? And this is the reality. So if we take a step back very quickly, if someone posts like that, obviously your first basic steps are click like and write a comment. But again, play it cool. You'd be surprised how many sales reps, when they see a post like that, will write something like, I can definitely help you with this. And it's like, how do you know? You've not actually spoken to them. You don't know the details. Or they'll put, I can help you with this. Here's my phone number so you can call me. It's not going to happen. Play it cool. Something like, hi, John, this might be something we could help with. I'd love to chat and explore it in more detail. I'll pop you a quick message to see if we can arrange a call. Something like that.
Don't pitch in the actual comment. Say that you're going to do something over direct message. Promote whatever the other thing you're going to do. You want to hear a funny story that we did once?
Yeah.
So one time, Jeremy Levy and I saw an account that we've been trying to break into for a long time, was asking about different data providers. And the person did a post about like, what do you guys think of this tool versus this tool? And they didn't mention us. And this is like a couple of years ago where we're still smaller and stuff. So I grabbed a Vidyard and I recorded a video and I just went, and I cleared my throat and then just ended the recording, and I posted the link to the Vidyard on the comments with nothing else. And then I wrote a message to the person over cold email and said, hey, I just commented on your post for the cough video. It'd be cool if we could get a meeting. I'll make sure I take some cough drops before we do it. And we got the meeting. They booked, and they thought it was really funny. They and the neat part is I could see other people that were recommending and commenting on the post, because you know how those recommendation posts go. Like lots of people usually come in with comments and stuff. Mine was the top liked comment, and I went to the video and looked at the analytics, and it had like 400 plays from just people like clicking in. It was the post like had it was like from a pretty big company, so like there are a lot of people commenting on it, but like it had a lot of plays. Obviously, I couldn't see who played it because like it's anonymous data, but like you can do some creative, fun stuff that isn't pitching. If I were one of my competitors, I've actually saw this week. I did a post about this on Monday. LinkedIn has sponsored posts that are coming up now, and I saw one of my competitors with a sponsored post, and I saw another competitor just feature dumping and pitching their product in the same ad on the post. First off, it's a paid ad. The admin on that ad is going to delete the post. Like if you're going to pitch your own products, you're wasting your time. Second, you're making your company look like an ambulance chaser. And that's not what you want to do. You want to be someone that's like classy, take the high road, never crap on the competition publicly anywhere. Don't crap on them privately, actually. Like there's enough room for everybody at the table. But like the idea is think of a creative way to tackle it that shows that you're not just a normal Joe somebody. You're somebody special. Your prospect's someone special. Be creative, be fun. People want to work with creative and fun people.
Wait, so you're not supposed to chase ambulances?
Well, listen, that Walter Disney guy, that Walter Disney guy was doing some weird things at the beginning of this. He probably is chasing some ambulances, so maybe that's what's happening. So Daniel, we have a couple other things that we want to tackle. By the way, everyone that's participating, if you want to ask Daniel a question, maybe you came in a little late or something, this is the time to do it because we are going to have to wrap up in a couple minutes. While we're waiting for questions to come in, I wanted to ask you, Daniel. So your book, The £1 Million LinkedIn Message. What was the £1 Million LinkedIn Message? Everyone wants to know. Spoiler
I'm obviously
alert.
not going to give away the entire message, but it was a message I sent that got me into the door of a big opportunity that closed a £1 million sale. And it was the whole story wraps around the process from A to B, from finding the opportunity, from connecting, that message, and everything after that message that then led to the sort of signed deal. What the book also includes, because there is no one size fits all. You can't take that message template, spam it out and expect to get tons of results. So the book also has 25 tried, tested, proven LinkedIn message templates, just because everyone's different. You've got different industries, different seniorities, different departments, and it's trying to find the right message to send. I think the common theme that I will share that you'll see through all of the messages, and I'm sure you guys would have seen this in the best messages, is they are real, genuine messages. They've either done their homework, they really believe they can help, they're short and sweet. tick those really basic boxes, yet so many people don't. They either lock some sort of third-party system with a copy and paste message, or they sit there with a template and just spam it out hundreds of times a day, and not an effective approach. So just a golden tip with messaging: have real conversations. Just go out there and talk to people you think you can help. The whole spray and pray, I can't stress this enough, really doesn't work.
Wow.
The best way to start that is to live off LinkedIn. Start your prospecting there. I think it's the best place anyway.
Definitely. It's a gold mine of information. There is tons of information opportunities, whether it's information in their profile, information on their company page, engagement that you can do to their content, information you can find from their content. I mean, it is a gold mine, and it doesn't take long to mine that gold either. It's not hidden very far.
So one thing we should probably talk about a little bit with people is how to make content and how to plan your content correctly if you're a rep. I think one question I want to ask, you have great content, Daniel, and you do this stuff.
Thank you.
What's your balance? What's your schedule like when you're putting stuff out so that you stay in the relevant news feeds for your buyers?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing content on LinkedIn now for maybe 5 to 6 years, pretty much consistently on a daily basis. And, you know, it does get hard the longer you do it to keep creative. I guess the thing I try to do is make sure I'm immersed in my industry all the time. So always reading new books, watching shows like this, attending webinars, listening to podcasts, you know, consuming myself with the industry content so that I always have ideas and I know what's relevant and right now. Not trying to just jump in, having not been on LinkedIn for 5 days and dropping a post. A lot happens in that time. So just being active, one of the things that we dismiss, and I say control it, but just read through your news feed. Control that. I've spoken to people that lose an hour, 2 hours, just sat there scrolling. Make sure you control that time. But 10, 15 minutes, a couple of times a day, just keeps you at the center of your industry, your connections, to know what's happening, what everyone's talking about. And it should give you a good guideline as to what's right to write about.
One tip I have is check. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. What did you say?
Yeah. What were some ways that you control it? Because I it's the hardest thing to control when you're looking at feeds, like an Instagram or wherever. You just go, like, right? You lose so much time without realizing. So, what are some ways you handle that?
Set time limits. So I will set myself a physical time limit. I'll say, right, okay, it's 8 o'clock now. I'm going to do 15 minutes or half an hour, and I'll just keep an eye on the time. You just got to be strict with it. It's a discipline thing. Obviously, if you're in the office, it can be a bit easier where you've got your manager or your colleagues around you to keep an eye on it. When you're at home, less of that around. It's a self-discipline thing.
I recommend, for me, I actually do it a lot in the bathroom and when I wake up. That's my two places I'm usually checking LinkedIn for stuff. A lot of you that follow me on LinkedIn that message me, you might notice I'll message you. I'm usually checking LinkedIn messages before bed. That's like the 3 spots I do. So I check LinkedIn in the morning when I wake up, when I use the bathroom for a longer period of time. And that's my vague way of saying that, but I think you can fill in the blanks. And at night, like before I go to bed. That's the 3 areas that I try. I want to check it during the business day sometimes, but it gets out of hand sometimes with like just getting distracted, not doing stuff. Thank you, Walter Disney Company just answered the question, said what I was translating to for people who didn't know. One thing I'd recommend, and this is sort of really deep, like don't overthink this, people listening. I'm just going to explain something to you. I would rather be known and seen by 1,000 people regularly than seen once by 40,000 people or 100,000 people. And a good way to look at that and think about that perspective is to infiltrate a network over and over and over again. So when you're just starting out and you're putting stuff on social, you might not have a big audience. You can do some low-hanging fruit stuff on your own and you'll get some people that like and engage on it. But if you want to build an audience like Daniel has, some of the other people that are out there, John Barrows has a crazy following too. Some of these people, what they do is they actually started out with like putting out posts with people. And then you tag those people. And you can do this with prospects, especially right now. Perfect time to go get a prospect and say, hey, can we hop on a 3-minute Zoom? I'm going to ask you one question. I'm going to hit record, ask you the question, have you answer it, and then get out of the Zoom. And I'm going to put that up on LinkedIn because Zoom can record stuff for you as long as it's really short. Don't make it more than 5 minutes long. Ask one question. When you put the post up, tag that person that was in the video. Now, here's the other cool part. The reason I say video, by the way, is because you're a rep. You're probably pretty good at talking to people already if you're a sales rep. If you're not and you're introverted, you can do something over writing instead of just do a written post. I asked this customer, X customer, this question. This is their response, and you can transcribe it. If you're more comfortable being on camera or doing something like this on a Zoom with a webcam, do that recording, ask that question, record it, post it, and give them the file too so they post it. When people comment and like on it, if you see those people and some of them might be good prospects, ask them if they can, try and sell to them. Say, hey, I saw you like my video, and it'll be way better and more personalized. If they say they're not interested or they're not a good fit, ask those people to be in contact with you next. Because what will happen is the network circle that they have, you'll keep coming up in the same people's feeds that are mutual connections with all these people. And before long, a lot of people will follow you in that same group and be familiar with you. Daniel, it's probably like this for you. When you go to conferences, how many people message you and say, hey, I saw you pass by, we should talk? Like you probably say that all the time, right?
Yeah, tons. And Ryan, I can't, that was solid gold advice. The key point for me is consistency. So many people, try and drop in once a week, if you can try and do at least every day, dropping at least one piece of content and engaging on a few posts, you're there. You will grow an audience just by keeping that up. I see people come in and within a month, 2 months, they've built really strong audiences, a really strong personal brand just by sharing content on a regular basis. That consistency piece is so important. And again, it doesn't take time. It could literally take 10 minutes a day to build a strong personal brand. Not a lot of time.
By the way, I know a lot of people here, it's the end of the month. We're trying to get this going every 2 weeks. So if you did watch this show and you missed the beginning of it, we will email out a recording. It's probably going to take a night or two to cut it down for everyone, but there will be a recording available for everyone to watch. So don't be discouraged if you missed it. If you manage to come in late, feel free to ask questions and we'll close out the show in a little bit. Daniel, what's going on with you in your life? What do you want to plug?
Well, obviously I've got my book, £1 Million LinkedIn Message. It's on Amazon, paperback and Kindle. So if anyone's interested in learning how to use LinkedIn messaging, it's got tons of social selling tips in there. It's got a profile guide and stuff like that. I'm working on book number 2 at the moment. Actually, I'm working on book number 2, 3, and 4, which is not the smartest thing to do, but I can't get off these ideas. So that's my big focus. Whilst we're stuck at home in between, virtual training, virtual coaching, I'm just trying to write as much as possible before the doors open and I can get back out speaking and training again. So yeah, a lot of writing at the moment.
Free Daniel. That's all the people are saying.
Hashtag free Daniel. Yeah.
Hashtag free Daniel. Get him out of his cage. We had some, that's a cool idea, Ian. You just gave me an idea. So Ian Doyle in the question said, how's my LinkedIn profile? I actually think it'd be a very cool exercise. Maybe LeadIQ will do something where we'll go through LinkedIn profiles for people. We do this thing with email called Rate My Pitch, where you can send cold emails to us and we'll rip them apart over a live stream with people. It's fun. It's like productive. It's not the crap on people. We can maybe do the same thing with profiles at some point. Maybe we'll do that as a segment in a future B2B Tonight show. I do want to let people know some house cleaning stuff too. We are going to be doing these pretty consistently. So get on our email list. You obviously are if you saw this, but tell others about it because we're going to try and keep feeding these things and answering things for people. And the other cool part about this is there's no rules. We could have Daniel Disney on every week if we wanted to.
And maybe we will.
Yeah, he's stuck in a cave. He's stuck in England right now. He's dying to get out.
Did you say a cave in England?
I just assume that you guys want to hear something crazy. Everyone's gonna be blown away by this and judge me. I've never left the United States. Is that insane? I live like 4 hours from the Canadian border and I've never been at all. Crazy. And the borders are closed, so it doesn't make a difference to me. I've had several trips planned. Last year I was supposed to talk at an event in Toronto and the trip got canceled because my passport didn't come in time. But I plan on doing a lot more traveling, and Rishi and I might even take this on the road this year if it gets popular enough. Yep. Go ahead, Rishi. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, there's a question to Daniel. With so much webinar activity right now, what's your opinion on reaching out to an attendee that you saw on the same webinar and you know is an ideal customer profile? Do you view that as creepy or just being aware of an op or both?
No, as long as you go about it in a nice way. I mean, salespeople make it creepy by what they say and the way they approach it. It doesn't have to be creepy. You can, I could message Rishi and say, Rishi, I saw you were on the B2B Tonight Show watching that.
Wow.
I found it really hilarious. Go down that road.
Yeah, I think it's an okay trigger because it's showing that you did research. Maybe
Yeah.
what I would do is bring up a point from the webinar that you really liked and ask them for their opinion. People love, by the way, sharing their opinions. You can editorialize different opinions that you have in business with your prospects. It's a really cool thing to do. It's fun. It's like it creates debate a little bit. I'm sure there's stuff we disagree on, Daniel, and we just didn't find them today.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll do more of these in the future. I'm keen to come back at some point, and maybe we could do the profile thing together, because that I think is a brilliant idea. But I'm sure we'll find stuff that we disagree on. There's got to be something there.
Something. But like the thing is, people have different
Maybe it's
experiences.
Taylor
with things.
Swift.
Yeah. Hey. How dare you? How dare you? Let's do last call for questions here if people have some stuff. We got some people in the comments saying some stuff. Hi, Christopher Machamalo. Haven't seen you in a long time, dude. Hope the quarantine's been good to you. One thing that I was thinking about that I wanted to close out with a little bit, Daniel, is how often should people post if they're just starting out? Obviously, you post every day. I try to post 2 or 3 times a week. What's your schedule like? Like, what would you do if you're a rep?
2 or 3 times a week is a good starting point. So I recommend 2 or 3 times a week for the first month or 2. The ultimate goal really is to Monday to Friday, once a day. Don't go past that. If you start posting more than once a day, A, it goes against the algorithm. B, it just becomes over promotional, and your audience will start to have negative feelings towards it. Once a day is the optimum amount, but at the start, 2 or 3 times a week is a good place to start.
You know what else? I'm sorry. I hope we're okay if we go a little over time because so many people came in a little late on this. One other thing I wanted to tell people to recommend is if you use LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you should totally leverage your prospects' connections and your customers' connections. So if you're an account executive and you just closed a big customer, let's say you're in the software space and you sell seats. Go add the people that are going to be using that account on LinkedIn. And a lot of them won't protect their connections by default. So on LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you can actually go click on someone's profile, see their connections, and set up filters and then prospect those people. And you can just be like, hey, I was working with blah, 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 and I saw you connect to them. That's a great first introduction for a cold email or a cold call. And now you have something to talk about over email or over the phone that you can use. And it's honestly like the response rates are great when you do that stuff. The other neat part is if they don't know that person, if you actually can ask that customer, ask them for a couple of people that they know for recommendations or referrals. Like you can say like, don't just say, hey, do you know anyone that can use my product? Go on LinkedIn, find a couple of people that they're connected with that fit your market and say, hey, blah, 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 I saw you know Jimmy. I saw you know Daniel. I saw you know Rishi. Could I name drop you in an email? Do you mind? Or would you mind writing an intro to me? I know you're getting a lot of value out of what we're doing and how we're helping you and stuff. Like leverage the network's graph to help you with prospecting. You can find a lot of good accounts and prospects that way.
Well, there's gold there. I love the statistic. I mean, I'm a bit out on the numbers, but it's something like 91% of customers say they'd be happy to recommend or refer someone, but like 11% of salespeople ask for them. And whether it's, going direct for a referral or trying to find a middleman to provide that introduction, most people are happy to do that. And it's such a small effort just to ask that question to potentially create a really hot lead. So yeah, it's an awesome tip.
Yeah. So let's wrap up a little bit, Daniel. What do you want people to do? Add you on LinkedIn, obviously, would be a nice thing, right?
Yeah. Hey, if anyone wants to follow me, learn more about the sort of world of LinkedIn and social selling, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on all social media channels, and there's content on my website, danieldisney.online. And for anyone who's interested, the book's on Amazon. But if anyone has any questions, I'm keen to help. I'm, passionate about helping salespeople and sales teams learn how to master social. So any questions, pop me a message. Happy to answer.
Daniel, do you want people to add a personalized LinkedIn message, or what's best practice there?
Most people do. Some people try and make it humorous, which is funny. Yeah, it does help, but I'm not too judgy.
Yeah, I like to look at them. I think, listen, if you're going to send personalized LinkedIn messages, do not do soft personalization. Really personalize it. Don't do mutual connections. Don't just say like something. I see we're in similar industries. Do not do that. If you're going to do the personalized LinkedIn message, because some people are saying do it properly and you'll get a good response rate. I think that pretty much wraps it up for us. For people, if you have questions, you can email us. We're going to email a recording out to everyone on Friday at the latest Monday, but it'll probably be tomorrow that we send it out. One last thing I want to plug and let people know. We're working on an episode that we're going to be doing upcoming with David Delaney, who's from Tenbound. Big fan of David. I've been to a ton of his conferences and seen a lot of his talks. He's a really brilliant mind in prospecting, and we're going to talk with him. I don't know what the date yet. We're still locking that up with him, but he's on the upcoming list. We've got a couple other really cool people that will be on too. So if you have questions or anything, DM me on LinkedIn, hit up Rishi. You can reply to our email. Recording will be out tomorrow or Monday. And please go ahead, Daniel, on LinkedIn. I'm losing my voice. I'm getting emotional. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate it. And thank you to the Walter Disney Company for not suing us. We really appreciate it.
They still are, but we're not going to let them. Get out of here, Walter Disney.
Yeah.
Also,
Get
by the
out.
way, Daniel, last thing, £1 million LinkedIn. They can get it on Amazon. Obviously, it's a story about how you got £1 million from a sale. What did you do with those £1 million?
That's a good question. It's a good question. I was a sales rep at the time, so that £1 million went into the company's kitty, and I made a very tiny commission check. I mean, it wasn't bad. I can't complain, but it certainly wasn't £1 million, unfortunately.
Oh.
He used that to get really good images made on LinkedIn for his header.
Yeah, that's my background image. That's how I got such a good
That was the
image.
million pound background image. Thank you very much for being on, Daniel. Bye, everyone else. Thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you, Wendy. It was a magical time.
I feel like we became adults during this time. It was very nice. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys. That was really fun.